I'm going to talk about how to tie a warp onto the front of your loom, the front apron beam. Whether you warp from back to front, front to back, or tying on, we all have to do this to begin to weave. Okay, I first learned about this in a little booklet from the Hudson Mohawk Weavers Guild years and years ago. I don't know if it's still available. It's called Speed Warping by Janet Nyquist. So what it involves is using a matte cotton string in about a yard-long length, and then they're tied, each one is tied with a, just looped over itself. I think it's called a lark. I'm not sure what kind of knot that is. But anyway, it's just attached to the beam about every inch and a half. Then you take your warp, it's through the reed, separate it into about even number of, say, 1.5 inch wide bouts, and just smooth it until it's nice and smooth, and simply tie it in with an overhand knot. And so you just grab it, pull it tight, smooth the yarns, and then tie it with an overhand knot, and just let it hang there. Then, to connect it to the warp beam, you take one of these knots. I'm going to start in the center, roughly divide it by half, then make a lark's head knot by just twisting it, creating this opening. Then take the string through the opening, grab the string, pull the tails, it's got a little twisted here, and then just tie it once with just like that, just once. Then you go to the adjacent one, roughly divide it in half, twist it, grab your doubled string there from the apron rod, pull it through the opening, pull it taut, and tie it with a simple 1/2 of a square knot, one overhand knot, and that will hold it tight. And you continue across like that, and then we can even the tension after that. Okay, I've got all of the strings attached to the warp. One thing you have to be careful of using this method is you have to have your apron rod wound far enough away from the warp knots so that you have enough area here to pull the string tight. You don't want to get down to just 1 inch or 2 because you may not be able to even everything up. The advantage of this method of tying onto the front apron rod is that you are shortening this matte string and not the length of warp that you have gone to all the trouble of threading through that heddles and the reed and winding onto the back beam. So what I'm doing is just starting in the middle, going back and forth, tightening these. So these are tight here, and these have gotten saggy, so now I'm tightening those up, and you just keep going. Oh, this one didn't get tied into a knot. You keep going back and forth until everything, just like you would normally do, tying onto the front apron rod, until everything seems evenly tensioned. Then once you have it evenly tensioned, you can keep the knots the way they are, just in the single knot like that. But if you feel like you have to double tie it, that is an option you can do. But this is a little tedious. You just keep going back and forth, feeling where it's a little weak. And at some point you just have to stop. feels pretty good. So I would just wind my warp forward and put in my header, and I'm ready to start weaving my blue dish towels.